Here is Darley job 3551, a 2023 tactical pumper built on the CV chassis, the Navistar CV chassis. This is a driver's side pump panel for the tactical pumper on the CV chassis. This one happens to be coated with the black textured Raptor coating. Otherwise, the standard panel material on the tactical pumper is a brushed stainless steel finish. We also do have, for those that like the blacked out finish, a black textured coating for all of the trim rings and various other components that are otherwise shiny on this pump panel. But this is the Raptor coated pump panel with the standard discharges for the CV tactical pumper. We have two 2.5 inch Darley valves on this driver's side pump panel. There's another 2.5 inch discharge over on the passenger side, as well as a large diameter discharge that can have a 3x4 stores adapter or a 3x5 30 degree downspout stores adapter if specified. We also have a 2.5 inch gated auxiliary intake on this driver's side pump panel, as well as a standard behind the panel butterfly valve for the main 6 inch intake here on this, again, this left side or driver's side pump panel. So the main intake does have a gated electric butterfly valve to control the flow of water, and the curbside or the passenger side pump panel can be set up with an optional gated intake valve as well. That the standard is just to have one, and the standard is driver's side. It can be moved to the right side or added to the right side if another one is specified. Lift style drains, the bleeder drains on the bottom of the pump panel are standard on the Darley tactical pumper line, as are 3 pre-connected crosslays in the upper portion of this pump module. So as I was saying, the standard Darley tactical pumper comes with 3 pre-connected crosslay hose beds above the fire pump. The 2 front, or the front one and the middle, are set up with an 1.5 inch swivel in the middle of the hose lay bed for common connection or common use of 1.75 inch fire hose, while the rear crosslay towards the back is set up for a 2.5 inch connection for 2.5 inch hose. All 3 of these are foam capable, therefore they all have compressed air foam set up with the toggle switch above each of the individual T-handles for easy identification. So again, the 3 standard CAFS discharges on this truck are all your pre-connected hose beds above the fire pump. The Darley tactical pumper line comes standard with a Foam Pro 2001 foam injection system for this compressed air foam system, as well as all LED backlit gauges. We also have a Darley auto control pressure governor and FRC Tank Vision Pro water and foam level gauges. You'll also see in the center of this pump panel, just below the control rods, an Odin autofill. So the back of this vehicle has a 2.5 inch electrically controlled valve that identifies the water level, and anytime the water level is below a half a tank, and if it's set to auto, it will open the electric valve in the rear compartment, topping off the water tank from a pressurized source. Here's a look at that autofill connection at the back of the body. There's a 2.5 inch female swivel with the plug, and then inside the compartment you'll see just a bit of the 2.5 inch electric valve that can open anytime the water level should go below a half a tank. That electric valve will then open, bringing in water from a pressurized source, and it will close or automatically shut itself off when the water tank gets to about 85 to 90% full. preventing any chance of overflowing the tank and dumping water on the ground. So the goal behind the autofill is to always run the fire pump from the onboard water tank to establish a nice, smooth, consistent operating speed for the fire pump and the auxiliary gearbox that drives the CAF's air compressor. So this system has the PSMC Darley fire pump, which has a 120 to 140 CFM air compressor, and that air compressor is used to propel the water and foam solution, otherwise known as CAFs. And we'll talk more about that here in coming videos. We're going to talk now about the body, the standard body for the tactical pumper with the CV chassis. This vehicle is set up with 3 roll-up door compartments on the driver's side of the vehicle, and all of them are featuring the Amdor brand. Standard comes with the satin finish. You can also order your tactical pumper with painted to match roll-up doors, and you can also paint the track to match if desired as well. Here are those compartment doors shown in their open position. The standard tactical pumper comes with unistrut aluminum track on the front wall and the back wall of each of the 3 compartments. At the time you place your order for your Darley tactical pumper, just let us know which compartments you want shelves or pull-out toolboards or slide-out trays, and we can pre-install them for you. The standard pumper comes with open compartments for your customization. I should also mention that the tactical pumper body, as it's made with all copolymer material, it features a lifetime warranty for the water tank, which on the CV model has a 400-gallon water tank capacity and a 25-gallon Class A foam tank capacity. Again, this is an all copolymer body, guaranteed to be corrosion free for the life of the vehicle. It's very lightweight, yet very strong, very durable, and the paint adheres to the product very, very well. In fact, when all the roll-up doors are closed, I would challenge anyone to even identify whether or not this is a metal body or a poly body. But once you open the roll-up doors, it's very obvious with the white natural material, which is easy to clean and scuff resistant against any of your tools, and yet very strong, very durable, and again, guaranteed with a lifetime tank warranty. Our compartments are deeper on a poly body because the back wall of that compartment is the outside wall of the tank. So we don't have to drop a tank into our body and have room for that tank to be taken in and taken out of that body. So we don't have a 1 or a 2-inch gap between the back of the compartment wall and the side of the tank wall, which maximizes our compartment floor space. So on this small vehicle, the body, I believe, is 99 inches wide from side to side, and we have full 21-inch depth usable space compartment floor space, which makes for a very nice large compartment storage area. Now I'm standing here at the back of the Darley tactical pumper built on the CV chassis, and as you can see, our standard body comes with alternating reflective red and lemon yellow stripes. We also have a slightly golder stripe option, but now with the new NFPA 1900 allowing most striping colors, as long as they're differentiating colors as far as a dark and a light, we can do most any reflective striping color that 3M offers. If you want a custom color, you will need to special order your tactical pumper ahead of time. Our standard model will be coming with the lemon yellow and red alternating stripes. Again, you can see the Whelen light package that we have on this vehicle, currently shown with all 600 series lights in your taillight clusters. In the coming year, in model year 2025, we may be switching to the M6 version for all the standard lights. We also do have the Whelen Easy Scene lights all the way around the sides and the back of this vehicle, which have separate left, right, and rear switching, both in the cab and on the pump panel, for lighting up the area around the vehicle when you're on scene. The Darley standard tactical pumper has two folding steps that are backlit. They have LED lighting built into them on the right side going up the back of the vehicle to access your hose load. You'll also see that we have the upper compartments opened, where we have storage for your ladders, a couple of pike poles, and a 10-foot folding attic ladder, all slid into the back of this poly body. The driver's side upper compartment features storage for two 8-foot long suction hoses, 6-inch in diameter, as well as another 6-inch suction hose that's about 7 foot long inside the hose bed. So with all three of those hoses combined, you have more than 20 feet, more than the NFPA required amount of hard suction hose built onto the vehicle. Just wanted to give you a close-up view of the slide-in ladder rack compartment. The space for hose. Your short length of suction hose with storage above it, as well as the suction hose storage built into the upper body compartment, and an additional long tool storage area with additional space for two more long-handled tools like a pike pole. The Whelen Easy Scene lights all the way around the vehicle. And then now we'll check out the rear compartment. So the rear compartment, the standard compartment on this tactical pumper, features 27 inches of full depth space. In this instance, we happen to have a floating strainer in here for our demonstration period. The truck is going to be out doing demonstrations from coast to coast. We wanted a hard suction strainer for those to be able to draft while doing long demonstrations. You can also see the 2.5-inch port going into the tank from the autofill to the left side of the frame. And in the upper right-hand corner, which you can't really see at this angle, we have a pre-piped 1.5-inch, or actually like 1.75-inch tube for running our pipe if you choose to set up your truck with the optional 150-foot booster reel with calves for a 1-inch discharge here in this rear compartment. So as I was saying, if you were to select the optional 150-foot calves booster reel in the rear compartment, the body is set up with the mounts for the Han-A reel, as well as the tank is set up with a pass-through port in the upper right-hand corner here that runs down the center or the right side of the upper portion of the water tank, so that we can run plumbing from the pump house to this rear compartment to feed that booster reel. So it's all set up for that option should you select it. And it can be retrofit onto the pump panel and into the pump plumbing after a truck is built and put into stock. The standard Darley tactical pumper does come with the Whelen 6-light LED traffic advisor, but this department chose to eliminate that from their build. But otherwise, this space just below the backup camera would be for the optional or standard Whelen 6-light traffic advisor, which would be controlled in the cab. I'm up on the top in the hose bed now, giving you a look at your water fill tower and your foam fill tower, as well as the a dunnage area, a storage compartment open here on the top, and it does have hinged side doors for accessibility from the sides of the truck for storing items in this dunnage compartment. We do have a hinged, embossed diamond plate hose bed or crosslay cover on top of the crosslays, which flips forward, and then you can see the top of the chassis. We'll open the water fill tower and show you the serial numbers engraved inside, along with the 415 gallon capacity. Same with your Class A foam. engraved with a 25-gallon capacity. Actually more like 35 if you filled it all the way up into this fill tower. Up next here is the passenger side, or the right side of this Darley tactical pumper on the CV chassis. You can see the right side of the body here with the 3 compartment doors closed. You have your 2 upper Whelen Easy scene lights that are again switched both on the pump panel and also inside the cab on the center console. They can be turned on or off from either location. On this side you also have your exhaust outlet below the front compartment, compartment number 4. And now I'll show those compartment doors in their open position. Now here are those same 3 compartments, compartment 4, 5, and 6, starting at the front. These are a mirror image of the driver's side, or the left side compartments, with the front compartment on this side being used to, it's predetermined to be used to store your other 2 air packs and your 4 bottles to go along with each of the 4 different air packs. Again, these compartments as standard will come with unistrut on the front and back walls. We also have compartment 5 here set up with horizontal unistrut for mounting a tool board or something along the back wall. Any shelves or rollout trays, again, are accessories that can be added to the tactical pumper should you choose to have Darley outfit your compartments with different storage options. The standard tires on the CV chassis are Continental 225/70R 19.5s. They're HDR Plus for the 2022 and 2023, and HDR 5s for the 2024 model year chassis, should you happen to place one of those on order. This tactical pumper is shown with the optional Raptor coating. Again, this is an optional pump panel coating over top of the stainless steel base structure that can be added for a charge. Our standard is brushed stainless steel, but again, this black Raptor coating is becoming rather popular these days. And the standard pump compartment also comes with a storage compartment, also called the dunnage area here above the pump house. So behind your 3 pre-connected cross-lay hose beds, you will also have a storage compartment that's open to the top, and you have hinged storage doors on each side. Just a quick shot here of the side of the center console. You can see where it says do not operate pump shift unless the truck transmission is in neutral. Another little important feature is that you must be in 2-wheel drive. Do not have the vehicle in 4-wheel drive when you're trying to pump with the vehicle. We've got a tag here on the side that we're just a hair over 8 foot high, 25 foot 7 inches overall length, and this chassis is rated for 23,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating. And we are designed to carry 4 personnel. Again, our standard CV chassis is set up with 2 SCBA seats in the rear and 2 normal Navistar front bucket seats in the driver position and the officer position, but there's 2 SCBA seats, so 2 of your firefighters can show up packed up and ready to go upon arriving at the scene. So again, 4-person cab. Okay, the next thing I'm going to show you on this CV tactical pumper today is how to operate the pumping system. So we're going to go into the chassis cab, we're going to start the vehicle, we're going to put it in drive, we're going to pretend we've just arrived on scene in drive, we're going to shift to neutral, and anytime the vehicle's running with the master switch on, you will get a low voltage alarm from time to time. That's what we were just listening to there. It's nothing to be alarmed with, but if the vehicle engine was running, well, then you shouldn't be hearing any alarms taking place. But when the vehicle is shut off but the master switch is on, occasionally your governor will beep or make that alarm. You can hit the silence button here to silence that so you hear that less frequently, or to turn off that alarm when it's going off. But again, we're going to be inside the cab. We're going to make sure the parking brake is set. Once we get on scene and we go from drive to neutral, we'll set our parking brake, and then we'll shift our fire pump into gear. But before we do that, I want to familiarize you a little bit with the pump panel. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about the standard CV tactical pumper pump panel configuration here from Darley. First, I'm going to explain to you that we have a 6-inch main intake. This is our 6-inch main intake. Behind this suction cap we have a 6-inch gated electric butterfly valve that can be opened if you want to draft from this main intake. You can actually be hooking up your hose with that valve closed, and then as you're hooking up your hard suction hose or your connection to a hydrant, you can then have it all bled off using the bleeder for that intake, and then you can open it and come straight into the fire pump. But for purposes of this demonstration and most operations, we're planning to operate from the onboard tank. So we're going to open the tank to pump valve. This supplies water from the tank through the main pump and up into the discharge head. So again, this is your tank to pump valve. It has a built-in check valve and a 3-inch waterway valve. We're going to make sure all of our drains are closed, make sure our master drain is closed, make sure our pony suction valve is closed and its cap is on. And we have a tank fill valve, which we're going to open just slightly, probably about a finger or two full. This will then put water from the pump back into the tank and create a nice harmonious circulation so the pump stays nice and cool while it's in operation. You do not want to open this all the way. That'll be flowing in abundance, way too much water back to your tank while you're in operation. All you need to do is just have it open slightly, like I say, maybe a finger's width or not even that much, just to get 10-15 gallons a minute of water flowing through the pump back to the tank at all times. Today for this demonstration, we're going to be operating off of our middle crosslay, which is a blue label. So we're going to use our blue control here for our controls for our middle crosslay. I've got an 1.75 inch hose hooked up. In fact, I've got 100 feet of it, which is what's recommended for calves, and I have a smoothbore / combination fog nozzle called a Saber Jet from Akron on the end of this hose, and I'll show you how that operates. But your main 2.5-inch discharges here are controlled from your two levers here. Your gauges are just above. You've got an LDH discharge control lever that's for the other side of the vehicle, and another 2.5-inch valve control again for the other side of the vehicle. So pretty simplistic layout. We've got our 3 crosslays, we've got our red, our blue, and our white. Obviously the colors can change from truck to truck. If you have specific hose colors you want to orient your labels to, we can do that kind of thing without any problem. Our standard is going to typically be red, white, and blue up here, or red, blue, and white, whichever way we happen to set it up for that truck. This department wanted red, blue, and white for their 3 crosslays. And then this is our Odin autofill. If we had a hydrant or another pressurized source, we could hook up that 2.5-inch fitting at the back, flip this switch over into automatic, and it would automatically keep the water tank between half full and about 90% full at all time. It would just keep opening and closing that valve and topping the water tank off. It's a very nice way to not have to worry about your water supply. Just bring it straight into the water tank. That way any pressure fluctuations are taken care of by the tank, and your governor, your throttle control, the pressure control governor doesn't have to constantly adjust itself to that incoming pressure. So it's very nice, and it keeps the CAF's compressor running at a nice consistent RPM right along with the fire pump. So those speeds are nice and balanced. If we're making 125 psi of pump pressure, we're going to be making 125 psi of air compressor pressure. And you'll see that on your CAF's air pressure gauge here, as well as your pump discharge gauge pressure there. So again, without further ado, we'll fire this pump up and show you how to operate the PSMC 1500 gallon per minute fire pump on this 2024-2025 model year Darley tactical pumper. I'm now going to show you how we operate the fire pump on this 2024-2025 model year CV tactical pumper from Darley. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into the cab just as if we're getting into the cab at the station. We're going to jump on board. We're going to reach down and turn on our master switch, so we power up all of our controls. We'll then reach over here and turn the key to the on position. Since it's a diesel, I always give it a couple of seconds before I crank the engine. And we'll start the vehicle engine. Alright. So now if we were on our way to the fire scene, we'd be dropping the vehicle down into drive. As you can see here on the display, we'd be releasing my foot off the brake and we'd be driving our way to the fire scene. Okay? Once we arrive at the fire scene now, I'm going to put my foot back on the brake and I'm going to move the transmission lever here one click up into neutral. Alright? Now we're in neutral, we're stationary. We've decided this is where we're going to establish pumping operations. So now I reach down and I put my foot on the emergency brake and I securely depress it down, which fastens the vehicle into position, and now I can take my foot off the service brake. Now I go over here to my shift controls and I'm going to first engage my air compressor. I'm going to release the safety catch and I'm going to pull straight up and shift my compressor into gear and I get an engage light. Next I'm going to shift my air pump, or my compressor, or my fire pump, excuse me, lift the safety catch, pull straight up, and now my fire pump is engaged. Now I'm going to put my foot down on the brake and I'm going to drop the transmission into drive. Okay? When I take my foot off the brake, now ignore this release parking brake situation. This is just a thing that we have to deal with. This is telling you that your parking brake is set and it thinks we're going down the road at 10 miles per hour. But obviously we're not. We're pumping. We have okay to pump because we have our pump engaged and our CAF's air compressor engaged. So now we can get out of the cab. At this point, don't bump the throttle or the brake and leave your parking brake set. Now we can get out of the truck, go back to the pump panel, and you'll see we're already making 20 pounds of pressure. We're still at idle. I have my tank to pump open already, and then my tank refill cracked. If I didn't open this ahead of time, you should have immediately, when you get back here to the pump panel, open the tank to pump valve. Okay, open the tank to pump valve, and then crack the tank refill valve just slightly to provide some circulation. Now, the next thing we're going to be doing, we're going to make sure that our Foam Pro system is turned on. This will be set for auto on most of our vehicles, but we turn this Foam Pro to on, and then we're going to bring up our RPM by hitting our preset or by using our increase button to bring the speed of the engine up to make about 100 to 125 psi of pump pressure. That's our normal operating pressure for CAFs. And then I'm going to show you real quickly here on this middle crosslay, before I bring the pressure up, we have 3 different lines, a red, a yellow, and a blue line. We'll probably run about at the yellow line here today. That tells you that you're going to either be making dry foam, medium foam, or wet foam. If you got a lot of heat, you're going to want to be taking and using a wet CAF's foam for firefighting. Smaller fires, smaller room and contents fires, or dumpster fires, or car fires, you can use any of these settings, but a dry foam is going to be less water and more compressed air, which will get you a fluffier shaving cream type of foam. As you move up to medium foam or wet foam, you're going to have a higher volume of water, less compressed air. It's going to be a milkier, wetter type of a solution. Okay, so we're going to be operating in about the yellow setting. But again, before doing so, I need to bring my pressure up so I can use my increase button. And today, for this demonstration, we'll run at a nice even 100 psi. So my pump pressure is going to be 100 psi. My air compressor pressure is going to be 100 psi. Now I'm going to go ahead and open my valve to that yellow position. Flip up my safety cover for my middle display. And then turn on my air injection switch. Now my line is charged with compressed air foam. And we'll show you now what that looks like. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and open this cap nozzle. We're running at 100 psi. My flow meter is showing me about 33 gallons per minute of water and foam solution at 0.3%. And this is probably about a 60 cubic feet per minute of air. Okay, so we're going to get down to nozzle level here so you can see what this nozzle is doing. Get it wide open. Alright, we'll give you a quick look at the type of foam that's coming out of the nozzle. My sun just went under the clouds. As you can see here, just in that 20 seconds that we ran calves, we covered the roof, covered quite a bit of grass on this structure. Now going back to the pump panel, just to give you an idea of what we used right there. So I'm in the flow mode right now. If I push this button, this takes me over to total water. That's 50 gallons of water, 52 gallons of water that we just used at 0.3% Class A foam. It's showing 0 total gallons of foam used so far. We're probably used about maybe 2 or 3 shot glasses of Class A foam so far. When we get to 333 gallons of water flowed, we will have then used 1 gallon of Class A foam. So we're not using much foam to make quite a lot of coverage foam here on this structure. So again, we'll try to see if the wind doesn't want to mess with me as much this time. Come out here just a step further. Got the nozzle against my leg. Shut the nozzle down and give you an idea of what that compressed air foam looks like. Again, it's a very thick, almost like shaving cream type foam, and we're at the yellow setting, so I could make even fluffier foam, even drier shaving cream type foam. But this is a nice medium attack foam that you can do quite a bit with. But the more water, the higher the velocity of the stream, the more water content and the higher heat absorbing you can do. You know, you get up over 80-90 gallons of water and 50 CFM of compressed air, you can really make quite an attack. And if that doesn't do what you need it to, well, then you grab the 2.5 inch cross lay and you start flowing in excess of 200 and some gallons a minute and give it the full 130, 140 CFM of compressed air. And that will make quite a stream. You can see we've used a total of 67 gallons of water so far. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll bump this down to the red setting. We'll get down to around 20 gallons a minute of water. Now again, 20 gallons a minute of water is not expected to be, you know, a great fire attack high heat absorbing type of a knockdown, it's only 20 gallons a minute. But it still does produce quite a stream, as you'll see. Now goes wide open. We're still shooting about 50 feet, making a really dry, fluffy foam. I can pretty much guarantee that if this was on fire right now, it wouldn't be any longer. And this foam that we see here on the ground, what is it? That's a trick question. What does everyone see here on the ground? They see a bunch of bubbles, right? A bunch of foam. Well, this foam is made out of 99.7% water. Yeah, if you don't count the air, there's a lot of air inside of this, but anything that you see that's white, that's water. It's improved with Class A foam. It's aerated and propelled with compressed air, and it gets us our reach without having to flow hundreds of gallons of water or more per minute to get that kind of reach. So we're using the compressed air as propulsion and pushing this water and putting it into places and allowing it to stay there. If it was a hot sunny day and that was just water on top of that little gable roof, it'd probably be dried off already on a windy sunny day. Compressed air foam is going to stay up there and hold that water in place for a long time. I mean, this could literally be in place for over an hour, and I guarantee a hot ash or an ember that lands on this roof right now, anywhere that it's white, is not going to catch this house on fire. So this is why compressed air foam is so popular for pre-treating exposures in advance of wildfires. So this is a type of compressed air foam system that this Darley tactical pumper can produce. And very simply, very easily, very cost effectively. And anyone can drive this vehicle and anyone can operate this pumping unit. I'm proof of that. Now if we want a higher heat absorbing type of a stream, a couple of things I recommend doing. Let's bring the pressure up. Let's run at 125 psi. Let's go ahead and bring this out to the blue setting. Now we're going to be flowing 60, 70, maybe 80 gallons a minute of water. And with this type of stream, now we're higher pressure, higher flow, which is going to get us more reach. If you look out here right now, some of the foam was just about making it out to, the middle of the yard here, kind of depending upon the wind. This is going to be much less affected by wind. So again, I'm going to lean into this here with my leg. I'm going to open this nozzle. Now we got a much heavier stream, much more dense. You can see it blowing those trees and filling those trees with foam on, I'll step it off here in a second. But you can see this is a lot more power. I'm not going to pound the window of the house with this type of stream because this has got a lot of mass, a lot of force to it. So we'll go ahead and set this nozzle down. Show you the difference in the reach now. We were all the way up over these trees. Stepping this off as we go. I'm at 50 feet now. About 70 feet, I would say, of effective stream reach between here and where that nozzle is back on the other side of the yard. So this was about a 75 gallon per minute stream. So we more than doubled the volume of the stream in gallons per minute, and more than doubled our reach, and still made a pretty fluffy, pretty well aerated stream of compressed air foam. all while running at what, around 1800 I think RPM, not even 1750 RPM on the governor. So this engine is just cruising along, probably thinks it's doing about 40 miles an hour right now, and it could pump like this all day. We're recirculating from the tank through the pump and back to the tank at 125 psi at 1750 RPM. This thing could run like this for hours. We've used only about a quarter of a tank of water. We haven't even used a full gallon yet of Class A foam. Now if we wanted to shut the system down and just flow plain water, first thing we're going to do is shut off the air. This closes that toggle switch. I'm going to shut off my Class A foam. So now my foam system will stop injecting foam. So now I'm no air, no foam, and I'm just going to flow plain water, basically to rinse out my hose and rinse out my nozzle. So now we'll go ahead and we'll rinse out the nozzle. Go ahead and use the fog nozzle adjustment spray here, show you how it works. So this is still a pretty decent water only nozzle, but it's definitely made as a Class A foam or CAFS nozzle. But once we're getting clean, clear water, we can then shut the nozzle off and shut the truck down. Once the hose lines are all flushed out, you can then go ahead and bring the vehicle down to an idle. Bring the vehicle back to an idle. We can shut down our discharge line. And then we can go back into the cab and take the pump out of gear. I always recommend the first thing you do is take your transmission shifter and move it one click up into neutral. That then takes your transmission out of lockup. You can then shift your fire pump out of gear, shift your CAFS compressor out of gear, and now you're back in road mode. You're sitting at neutral or in neutral with your parking brake set. So all you would need to do is drop the transmission into drive or put it into park, and you can put it into park for this matter and go ahead and shut the engine off. If you're still blocking the right of way, you could still have your master on and all your warning lights on and stuff, but again, you're going to want to leave your engine on and running for that, just to keep your batteries charged up. But that pretty much handles the pumping operation, and we'll be discussing more here in a little bit. At this time, I'd like to introduce you to the 2024-2025 Darley Tactical Pumper. This Darley Tactical Pumper is built on the Navistar CV chassis made by the International Truck Company. Again, this is the Navistar CV515 4-door with the International GM Duramax engine and the Allison 2500 automatic transmission. This has 330 horsepower, and it's coupled to and driving the Darley PSMC 1500 gallon per minute fire pump. Yes, I said 1,500 gallons per minute of water at 150 psi, and in fact this pump can pump much more than that. But this tactical pumper, like our others, will be rated at 1,500 gallons per minute, and this CV version comes with a 400 gallon water tank and a 25 gallon built-in integrated poly foam tank in the one-piece copolymer body from the Darley Polybuilt division. So the entire body on the back of this is completely corrosion free, and again features 400 gallons of water on the CV version. The Ford F550 version, due to its slightly lighter GVW of 19,500 pounds, we rate that one with a 300 gallon water tank and a 25 gallon Class A foam tank. But back to this vehicle, the CV, this one's rated at 23,000 pounds gross vehicle axle weight rating, 7,500 pounds on the front, leaving the remaining 13,500 on the rear, again for a total of 23,000 pounds of gross vehicle axle weight rating. Again, this has the Darley 1,500 gallon per minute PSMC pump, which does feature the Darley AutoCAF's compressed air foam system, which I'll be telling you more about later. But the standard tactical pumper from Darley comes with AutoCAFs plumbed to 3 pre-connected cross-lay hose beds. Those 3 pre-connected CAFs hose beds are just above the fire pump, with the front and the middle being plumbed with 2-inch piping and an 1.5-inch connection for your standard 1.5 or 1.75 fire hose, and the 2.5-inch cross lay plumbed with 2.5-inch plumbing at the back, or the rear of the pump module has a 2.5-inch cross lay hose bed, again piped with 2.5-inch pipe and a 2.5-inch chicks and swivel connection. So these 3 discharges will get you your compressed air foam or your foam and water discharges if you don't inject compressed air to propel that stream. We do also have some optional discharges, which I can tell you about later. I want to take a minute to familiarize you just a bit more with the CV chassis. So again, this is a 4-door chassis. We have seating. The standard setup is to have seating in the rear for 2 SCBA seats, and we'll have the seat behind the passenger or the officer's seat. This one happens to have a Kussmaul battery charger built in, and a mounting location for a FLIR thermal imaging camera. And then we also have an SCBA seat here from Bostrom with the secure all bracket built into the back of the seat. So this is standard setup with the 2 seats in the back. And now we'll get into the driver's position. First thing you may notice, the side of the center console here has a master switch. We want to turn on the master switch so we have power to all of the fire apparatus functions. We'll get inside the cab, and for those of you that have a GMC Sierra or a Chevy Silverado, this may look awfully familiar. This Navistar or International brand chassis does also build this vehicle for Chevrolet, and they badge it the 6500. So we'll go ahead, and got the key in the ignition here. We'll go ahead and we'll start the vehicle. We're currently in park. Just familiarize you with some of the dash controls here. Turn the air conditioning on. We've got a nice day in Chippewa Falls today. 71 degrees. It's about 20 minutes after 1 o'clock. And you can see this demo. This stock vehicle has 965 miles on it at this time. And you will be seeing it, or you will have seen it, at the FDIC in Indianapolis, April 17th through the 20th. We've got a handful of switches. Your traction control off. There's a light that would light up the area where the crosslays are. We got an exhaust brake you can turn on or turn off. PTO switch, which we're not using since we're direct drive. I'm going to turn this fan down a little bit just on the off chance that it's going to be blowing at the microphone. And then we have our pump shift, our CAF's air compressor shift, the do not move apparatus light, low voltage light. We've got a couple of USB ports built in here, which are kind of nice for charging your hand tools and cell phones and things, GPS mapping and stuff. We got a variety of switches here. from your master switch, light bar, front warning, side warning, rear warning, left scene, rear scene, right scene, step lights, and air horn. Yes, this vehicle has been set up with a pair of air horns. Because one of the unique things with the Navistar CV chassis is that you can get it with a engine-driven air compressor and a separate 3-gallon air tank, which we're utilizing to power our pneumatic pump shift and compressor shift, and as well installing air horns as standard. Now, if the vehicle's exhaust system were to get dirty and you get a message up here saying that cleaning the exhaust system is necessary, you can do that by toggling through the messages here. And let's see if I can figure out how to show you how to do that. If you happen to be an owner of a CV chassis and you see this message pop up on your display center, you may need to do a stationary regen or go for a ride at a consistent speed for a period of time to clean the exhaust system. It's very easy to do a stationary regen. If you read the owner's manual, it'll tell you make sure your parking brake is set, that you're in park with the vehicle engine running, and then you push and hold this button for approximately 3 seconds. It asks you if all the safety steps have been taken. If it's been taken, you don't have anything near the exhaust, you're outside, there's no risk of anything catching fire or any damage being done, you can turn the knob one click to accept and then push the button here, and then it will tell you, it will show you, now we need to hold the exhaust brake button for 3 seconds. So we come over here, push and hold the exhaust brake button for 1, 2, 3 seconds. And coming back to the display screen now, it will tell you that cleaning is in progress. You'll see the RPM of the vehicle engine start to increase. The temperature of the engine will go up, and cleaning of that filter will take place. You can now get out of the vehicle if you should so choose, and do something else for 10-15 minutes while this exhaust filter cleans. So here we are outside the vehicle and the exhaust filter is going through the cleaning process. It will get quite loud for 10, 15, 20 minutes maybe while this exhaust system goes through and cleans itself. You will want to make sure that this exhaust outlet is not pointed at anything that hot exhaust can do damage to. Let it run for 10-15 minutes. When it says it's clean, you can then it'll light itself back down. So we've been running about 15 minutes at an accelerated idle and at an accelerated RPM. And now we're coming back down closer to idle as the cleaning is getting close to being done. It says cleaning is still in progress, but like I said, the RPM has just dropped from, it was like around 2400, 2500 RPM down to about 1250 now. So I think the DEF particulate filter cleaning is just about wrapped up, and now we're going to move on to some maintenance items. And there it just dropped down to idle. So without further ado, I'll show you the area under the hood. Alright, to show you the area under the hood, we're going to start here by releasing each of the 2 hood straps and letting them hang. This one happens to be set up with the black monochromatic grille and black headlight bezels and black Whelen light bezels. We do also have chrome available as an option in all of this as well. Alright, pull on the handle here to open your hood. Much like your larger fire apparatus would be. This same style of hood gives you very nice serviceability and access to your 6.6 liter Duramax engine. Got your oil fill dipstick here, pretty self-explanatory. Transmission, automatic transmission dipstick there. We've got your power steering fluid reservoir, your master brake cylinder fluid reservoir there. That's pretty much everything you need to worry about from a regular service interval on this side of the vehicle. Migrating over here to the passenger side, we got your windshield washer fluid reservoir. We've got your coolant reservoir. And the only thing I can assume is that this one you don't need to mess with. This is the one you're going to be working with. I think this reservoir is designed for multiple vehicles depending upon how it gets mounted. Different vehicles have different caps. So you've got the main reservoir that you're going to be working with here. I think this is your overflow or your catch container below. As you can see, it's been running hot for a while because we were doing the exhaust system clean. So I think your overboard or your catch container is catching some of that fluid, and it is designed when it cools to pull it back in. So it's kind of a nice system. Now, something you need to be aware of before you try to close this hood is you do have a safety latch down here that needs to be pushed up into this locked position. If you try to close the hood with this safety catch in this position, you're going to hook here every time you try to close that cylinder. Let's see if I can capture that here. If you try to close that cylinder, it's going to catch. It's not going to allow you to close that hood. That's important. Do not flip this thing up until you're ready to close the hood. The reason this is this way is that if you're working outside, or if someone comes along and you're underneath this hood and you're working on something, more importantly, the wind can't catch it and snap this hood on top of your head while you're under the hood working. So leave the hood catch in this position. That'll prevent the hood from accidentally getting slammed on you or your tools or whatever other, funnel or whatever you've got in place, and that it can't do any damage. When you're ready to close the hood, snap this up into this position, and then you can safely close the hood, as I will show you here now. And those gas cylinders will kind of help hold the weight of the hood as you're closing it. Hook this back up over the top. You'll see there's a little catch here and a place to put it. Catch that over, pull it down, and then same thing on the other side. Again, got your hook, and pull it down. You have a DEF, diesel exhaust fluid fill port, built in here to the right front or passenger side fender. It fills, and the tank is underneath the passenger side door here, up behind our running board. So that tank is nice. It's out of the way. It's tucked up in there real nice, and this is where you need to fill it. Recommended to throw 4 or 5 gallons in there with every third or fourth tank of fuel is about how often you're going to need to add diesel exhaust fluid. There is a gauge on the dash that'll tell you when you're getting low. The standard Darley CV tactical pumper has a couple of heavy-duty built-in tow hooks, steel tow hooks here in the front of this chassis, as well as the siren speakers built in behind this grill. So it's not visible to the naked eye. It doesn't get clogged full of snow and slush if we had it out here on the end of the bumper. It just makes for a tidy situation. So the siren speakers tucked up in between the 2 tow hooks behind that little splash shield. Now I want to give you a look at the inside of the interior here. We got some door panel storage. We got the gray vinyl seats, black rubber or vinyl floor. Again, the Chevy dash, our Rhino lined center console with pump shift and compressor shift, siren control. You'll have the arrow stick in there as well. And again, going back to the SCBA seats going in the rear. I'll be giving you an idea of operability, how the vehicle drives here in a moment. You do also have some nice built-in storage here, both an upper and a lower glove compartment for storage of, latex gloves and the like, things of that nature. Back of the cab also has some nice door pockets on each side. The rear cab doors, and with the seats flipped up, the Bostrom fold and holder flip seats, they give the option of having your storage or your floor pretty much wide open. It gives you some nice storage here on the floor for, you know, hauling your gear, what have you. And then again, you can flip these down. If your SCBA was in here, to release it, you simply pull up on this lever, and that releases the latch up here behind the headrest for getting your turnout gear out. Got red seat belts. The latch is over here. Nice little cubby for each of them. Set up pretty nice. I want to take a moment and discuss the four-wheel drive on this CV chassis, the tactical pumper chassis. Currently, you can see that the hub is set into the free position, which is where we're going to be here for most of the time in the summer as we're just driving the vehicle around. If we should be wanting to go off-road, you will need to turn these hubs into the lock position. That way the hub is locked with the front axle, so anytime the vehicle shifted into four-wheel drive, then these tires would be getting power applied to them. If you have these in the free position, which then free spools the entire front axle, if you put it in four-wheel drive, the transfer case will send power through the front shaft into the front differential, but the axles will be spinning, but they're not connected to the hub. So you do need to set these into the lock position. If you have them locked on both sides, then that entire unit runs together and runs as a connected gear mesh, or fully connected unit, so that when it's put into four-wheel drive, the unit will then function as a four-wheel drive vehicle. So again, four-wheel drive will do nothing if you're in the free position. You do need to have these set to lock. So for those of you that are not familiar with the Navistar CV chassis, let's take it for a little ride. We'll jump in here to the driver's seat. Turn on the master switch. Go ahead and turn the ignition key to the run position. Start up the chassis. Reach over here and grab my seat belt. Red, incidentally. NFPA. Now we're not going to be on our way to a scene, so I don't need to worry about turning on my master or any of my warning lights. And I will turn my air conditioning on cool. Just to double check, make sure everything's functioning there. I'll leave my stereo off, and we'll go ahead and take it for a ride. Again, any of you that are familiar with the Chevrolet or the GMC, controls your headlights, your two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive high, four-wheel drive low, your trailer controller, if you should happen to hook a trailer up to our wiring in the back or to the hitch in the back. You'll be very familiar with this if you have a Chevy or a GMC product. We got your mirrors, electric adjustment for your mirrors, both left and right mirror, lock, unlock, power windows, both front and rear here, controlled by the driver. Each other seated position can only control their window. We can set them up for the child lock so that nobody in the back can get out unless you want them to as a driver. And then I can lock the windows as well, so only the driver has control of the windows. Again, basically the same as their pickup trucks. Alright, we do have a variety of different options here when you hit the home button with our 7-inch color screen, and get you the temperature, the date, the time, some settings. You can actually do a wide variety, connect a bunch of different phones to this unit. Different settings and stuff are all available in here. You can go through and program the vehicle to be awfully tech savvy these days. But for the most part, I think I'll just enjoy the radio. We do have airbag here for the driver. We got airbags over there for the passenger. Typical sun visors here. Sun visor on this side does happen to have a mirror. And then we've got sunglasses, eye protection. We do have a ability to turn on a dome light here as well, or you can turn them on individually. So you can see there's a variety of different, again, Chevy interior components. So we're going to go ahead and take it for a little ride here, give you guys an idea of what kind of performance we can get. So I'll be putting the vehicle in drive. We're going to run in 2-wheel drive high. I only have about about a half a tank of water left after doing some demonstrations here a little bit earlier. So take that with a grain of salt. Performance will be a little bit improved compared to running with a full tank of water. I probably got 180 to 200 gallons of water on board rather than a full 200 or full 400 gallons on board. But if I get after it with the throttle here, we can pick up speed pretty well. I think 0 to 60 times are probably modest, probably in the 8 to 10 second range. The vehicle handles real well. They all go out aligned, center line steering. They get a full alignment done. The brakes are pretty strong. They definitely slow the vehicle down just fine. Plenty of power, plenty of get up and go. But I think more than anything, as a driver of a wide variety of different vehicles over the years while I've worked at Darley, I can tell you that from a creature comfort standpoint, it's a very comfortable drive. It's a very easy drive. From newer recruits to longtime veterans of the fire service can get into one of these vehicles and feel quite confident, quite comfortable driving without any hesitation. Not sure I can say the same about a big custom fire apparatus with a 35 or 37,000 pound GVW. You really got to pay attention to what you're doing. I hate to admit it. I got a camera in one hand and a steering wheel in the other. And it really feels no different than driving my pickup. Maybe my pickup with a fully loaded box as far as turning and feeling the weight behind me. But, looking in your side view mirrors, you get a really good view of what's behind you. The mirrors are far enough out to where you can see down the sides of the vehicle quite adequately. Yet you have your spot mirror down below so you can get a good look as to what's alongside of you. So the drivability of this vehicle, I would put it on a scale of 1 to 10 at being like an 8 or 9. Anybody in your department should feel very comfortable, very confident behind the wheel of this vehicle. See another one getting lined up for manufacturing soon. Another nice benefit of this cab is the center display. When you put the vehicle into reverse, it becomes a very nice backup camera that gives you a lot of confidence when backing up the vehicle. You get a good idea as to where you're at, how much room you've got between you and any any obstructions, what have you. Gives you a real good idea where the back of the vehicle is in relationship to, say, your door, what have you. And then as soon as you put it back into park, that backup camera goes off. So gives you a pretty good idea of where you're at with using that backup camera. And again, that is standard on all of these CV tactical pumpers, so you get a good feel for where you're at. We always recommend you still use a buddy system. You still have somebody that helps you back the vehicle up. But this backup camera, especially for us when we're out doing demonstrations and touring and such, having a backup camera definitely makes it easier to feel confident when you're backing into hotel parking lots or fire stations getting ready to do demonstrations. So there you have it, a little bit more of a rundown of the Darley tactical pumper on the Navistar CV chassis. And as you can see, we do also offer these chassis with aluminum wheels. The CV chassis is available with aluminum wheels, the HDR Plus tires. This one happens to have a two-tone black over red paint job. There's your air tank, batteries, jump start post, and again the aluminum wheels with the chrome grille, chrome headlight bezels, chrome bumper, chrome door handles, versus you can also do a blacked out version with black door handles, black wheel kit, black Raptor coated pump panels, black striping, again the black wheels with black reflective striping and the black grille. So just a little bit of variety so that you can pick what you'd like. We are building a wide variety of these vehicles in all different shapes, sizes, and colors, as long as the shape that you want is the tactical pumper and the size is the standard. So I should say we're building these in different configurations, but the same basic package. Alright, thank you very much for your time, and keep an eye posted for more Darley videos on the tactical pumper lineup coming up shortly. The standard Darley tactical pumpers do come with diamond plate running boards on the 4-door cab, as well as diamond plate running boards for the pump module that have an embossed welded in strip with a grip strut with holes in it for getting mud and snow and things through the holes there. The standard running boards do come with the Kuzmal auto eject plug for 120 volts supplied at the station. It'll automatically eject when you turn the key with the ignition and pop that cord out. And this will be your standard Darley tactical pumper charging status center. It'll give you, when you're plugged in, the amount of voltage in the batteries, the amperage at which they're charging at, and the current condition of the battery, whether it be low, charging, charged, or high. Again, that's standard with the tactical pumper, the auto eject with the auto charge status center feeding to the Kuzmal Pump Plus 1000 kit inside the cab for battery charger, for charging the two batteries that are just behind the running board here.